Hi, so today I'm going to share the different first aid kits that I bring for different rides and bikepacking trips. There's going to be a very basic minimal first aid kit that has its own applications and situations to bring it. There's going to be a kind of mid-level first aid kit that I bring on backcountry rides or slightly longer trips. And then there's going to be a full expedition scale first aid kit that I bring on the most remote or the longest trips. A couple things to note about these are that first aid training is irreplaceable. Just carrying the gear doesn't replace the knowledge and skills to use it. And the more first aid training you have, the more that can inform what you bring based on your skill level and what you're comfortable improvising with in the rest of your kit of gear that you're carrying on your trip or your bike ride. A lot of these are also informed by access to definitive medical care. And so for each kit level, we'll talk about kind of when I would bring less first aid supplies as opposed to more first aid supplies based on the time and access to definitive care if there was more of an emergency injury or illness. So what I'm showing you here are examples of what I bring based on my training as a wilderness first responder and what I would also have in my bikepacking kit. And for each trip, depending on where we're going and the intervals between resupply or how far we are away from trailheads or access points, I may change a bit what I'm bringing. And then one last piece of context is also knowing the medical history of the people that you're riding with in addition to yourself. And so there are some things like allergies or past medical history for injuries and illnesses or conditions that people have that would very much change and inform what you carry. For example, if someone is allergic to bees or a certain food, carrying an epi kit, an epinephrine kit, or an EpiPen would be really important to make sure you always have, no matter how long of a trip it is, because that could save someone's life. So that would also inform maybe the quantities or specific things you're carrying. And that's something very much worth checking in with everyone before you go out to ride. And then also, if you're in a big group, it's worth knowing who has what for different first aid kits. Like on an expedition, everyone doesn't have to have an expedition size first aid kit. You probably only need one, maybe two if it's a big group. Or if everyone had more of a mid-sized kit, then collectively you actually have maybe an expedition kit. But you want to just make sure the bases are covered and you ultimately have the quantity of things to manage what sorts of injuries and illnesses could arise when you're out. So without any further ado, let's dive into the most basic and minimal first aid kit that I carry. So this basic first aid kit is very simple. It is not built with any intention of treating any injuries or illnesses for a long period of time. This kit is appropriate to bring when I'm never more than an hour from being able to be accessed by a response team who can bring me to definitive medical care. So that would mean that, an EMT or paramedics could get to me within an hour and be taking care of me or the injured or hurt person that I'm with that needs medical attention. And from there, they have it. So this is very basic front country kit. It doesn't mean that it's not appropriate for long rides. It just means that it's not appropriate for remote rides. This is what I would bring with me on a really simple day ride. It's what I carry in my day ride kit. It's what I carry in my backcountry ski kit for shorter tours. And if I was going on like a road focused bikepacking trip where I'm going through town every day and I'm like on roads that are accessible, this is what I would carry. And that could even be a month-long trip because each day I have the ability to resupply, and wherever I am on my route, I could be accessed like probably by an ambulance if I needed to. So the point of this kit is really just to manage the little bumps and bruises and scrapes or like things not feeling great when I'm out to keep me going and have a good time. Or to just like very basic start taking care of something in that like first hour of waiting for help. So we have a couple different kind of wound bleeding management tools. First and foremost, latex gloves to prevent body substance contamination, to isolate yourself. A little roll of gauze, very light and very useful for cleaning and packing and applying pressure to bleeding wounds. A gauze pad for cleaning. A couple Band-Aids as like a wound dressing. Some moleskin for managing blisters. And then a couple different strips of KT tape, about 2 or 3 feet in total, and a kind of half-ish roll of Coban. It's really enough. All of this is enough for like one use and no like redoing of those things. But in this scenario, like it's a shorter ride, or in that day I'd be going through a town and I could buy more. And then lastly, for more the illness side, we have a few different drugs. We have an antihistamine for allergic reactions, a couple different packets of acetaminophen, which is a painkiller, an NSAID, ibuprofen. And then I always carry a water treatment in my first aid kit because it's a really basic place to keep it, to be able to purify water if I need to treat surface water when I'm out riding. So again, this could vary a little bit. Like if I was in the desert, I would definitely add tweezers because it's actually highly probable that I need to pull cactus spines out of me. But in general, this is an example of what my very basic little kit would look like, and it would fit into this cute little pouch and then stuff into my backpack or my frame bag, that sort of place. Here's my basic first aid kit outlined with its applications and a list of example contents. Moving from there, we have a slightly more robust backcountry or bikepacking first aid kit. And this kit is more intended to manage injuries and illnesses for a little bit longer. It would take maybe more than an hour to be in definitive medical care. I may want to need more than one use of something, like more than one round of wound closures or dressing, maybe more than one round of taping or taking care of a musculoskeletal injury, maybe 12 or 24 hours of taking care of an illness. So that's the kind of the context of this kit. And for this one, I carry this on the more remote backcountry rides where I'm out there, I'm going on a full day ride and there's only one trailhead and that's the one I started at and will end at. Or the backcountry bikepacking kit where I'm not going through a town each day, maybe every other day, or something like that. And this kit very much builds on the basic kit. Everything in here is over here. We have a bit more KT tape, maybe 3 or 4 feet. We have a more hefty roll of Coban. It's very light, but there are definitely multiple yards of Coban in here. The gauze roll, I have more gauze pads in some of different sizes. 2 different Tegaderm patches, which are great wound closures. Some steri strips or wound closure strips. So this is having the ability to actually deal with bigger wounds in the field. On that note, also in that, being able to clean them really well, and an irrigation syringe is invaluable in doing so. A variety of sizes of Band-Aids to serve as dressings, slightly bigger patch of moleskin. I have my tweezers, I have my safety pin, I have my lighter, which if you're bikepacking, you probably have one for a stove. But this is it's always great to have a backup and a fire starter way, a way of starting fires. And this will also sterilize the tweezers and the needle. More in the wound cleaning realm, we have antiseptic towelettes. I would have, if I didn't have soap for personal hygiene, that something else to serve as cleaning would be in here, but soap is in my kitchen kit. Triple antibiotic ointment packet, a mix of different painkillers like Tylenol, ibuprofen, there's aspirin, there's an antihistamine, there's bismuth tabs for stomach issues. Again, the water treatment tabs, aqua tabs, always latex gloves, maybe 2 pairs, but at least 1. And that is this kit. And again, if anyone was allergic to anything in my group, then we'd have an epinephrine kit. And so that is that mid-level. You can see that there's a bit more of these things in some cases for like what you would need to manage injuries over time. But it's still really quite basic.
Here's my Backcountry First Aid Kit explained by application and an example contents list.
Okay, so this is the expedition size first aid kit. For the most remote bikepacking trips, they're not even the longest, they would have the longest stretches between the opportunities to resupply first aid supplies, and also would have it would take a really long time, like multiple days for help to get to you. And so this kit is more designed to manage an injury or an illness for a longer period of time than our kind of more basic backcountry kit and our very simple front country kit. So there isn't much in here that's different than these other kits. The basic backcountry kit, this is just a bit more robust in quantity, and there are a couple things we've added in there that could just help with that prolonged management. But again, there's a lot of kind of wound addressing, wounds with cleaning and dressing them. There's multiple rounds for redoing and re-cleaning and redressing, as that does have to happen if you're taking care of wounds over time. There's longer strips of athletic tape, KT tape, and also a whole roll of athletic tape. I've added in an ACE bandage in addition to my Coban, because that really is going to make a difference for my ability to manage like a bigger musculoskeletal injury for a longer period of time. You know, like those can be very painful for the patient. And so these additional resources, that as well as a triangular bandage, can increase like the effectiveness of how we're stabilizing those injuries. Again, the cleaning, preventing infection with really quality irrigation. Got our tweezers, our safety pin. There'd be a lighter in here. It looks like I packed that away. More, the same drugs, but more. Some people, and I personally also do this, but go on expeditions and do get prescription painkillers from my doctor, so that I can actually manage like a severely painful injury in the field. But that's something you have to go through your doctor for. And the epinephrine kit if I were to be traveling with anyone who has an allergy. And the only other thing that I have added in here is a face shield to protect bacteria and virus transmission between the caregiver and patient in mouth-to-mouth resuscitation.
Here's the example of the Expedition First Aid Kit broken down by application and contents with some quantities, but it really should be stressed that this list and quantities should be assessed based on the trip details and length.
One last thing that would be maybe considered part of my first aid kit, or at least in my ability to respond to an accident, would be the ability to call for help. And so if you have a cell phone and you're going to be on a trip that has reliable service, then just the cell phone could work. The Backcountry SOS app is something you can download and use to text to 911. You just need 1 bar to get a text out for that. But for any time that you're using your cell phone for emergency response, the ability to keep it charged is important. And so if you, at the very least, like are going on a multi-day trip or are going to be using your phone for a lot of other things and draining the battery, just bringing a battery pack and a cord to charge your phone so that you actually can use your phone for an emergency response. This is an Anchor pack. It's the Power Core 10,000. I like it. It's not small, but this will charge my phone, I think 3.5 times fully. So great for multi-days. And then for any trip that is going out of cell service for prolonged periods where like it wouldn't be easy to just like ride into cell service to call for help, then bringing a satellite communication device like a Garmin InReach or a Garmin Messenger or a Spot or any other ones. And some of the newest phones I think have this capacity as well. But these have incredible battery life and will be able to connect to satellites in most every situation around the world. But it's worth practicing with this at home, getting familiar with it before you actually need to use it. To close, a wilderness first aid course is very accessible, and I would be really psyched if everyone that I rode and bikepacked with had at least that level of training in case I got hurt. And a wilderness first responder course is invaluable for really long trips, or definitely if you're ever in any role of being responsible for other people. Yeah, these kits are ultimately small, they're light, they don't take up a lot of space in the grand scheme of things. Like, this is lighter than a canister of fuel. It's definitely lighter than my bike repair kit, and these have the abilities to like really save lives and also just like keep you riding and happy and staying on course on your ride and on your bikepacking trip. So let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.